In Atlas, a brilliant data analyst, skeptical of AI, joins a mission to capture a rogue robot. Discover the mystery of their shared past and the thrilling pursuit in this gripping sci-fi adventure. Don't miss the twists and turns. A female reporter states that for many years, they have been assured that they would never harm them, but tonight all of that has changed as all over the globe, artificial intelligence bots ranging from transportation to medical and home maintenance have all bypassed the security protocols, and authorities have estimated that over 50,000 civilians have died from AI-controlled strikes in Bangalore, and after 10 days of constant attacks, the AI bots have killed over 1 million civilians with no end in sight. Officials have identified a bot named Harlan as the world's first AI terrorist. She explains that Harlan was first developed at Shepard Robotics under the watchful eye of AI expert Val Shepard and raised alongside his 10-year-old daughter Atlas. Harlan was built with the purpose of helping humans improve life on Earth and is responsible for overriding all bot programming, but authorities are still trying to figure out how they managed to do that. An expert remarks that if humans create beings more intelligent than them, how did they know they can keep control? An AI pioneer quotes Isaac Asimov and states that if you make a smart robot, the first rule should be, do not harm people. The general of the U.S. Army states that to combat the threat presented by the AI, they have ratified an unprecedented global response, the International Coalition of Nations, ICN. And ICN forces are launching immediate counter-strikes around the world. A war begins worldwide, and a reporter states that AI bots under Harlan's command have now fallen in Bucharest and Athens due to the ICN's counterattack. A reporter reveals that after sustaining multiple losses, Harlan leaves the planet on a rocket, and all that he's left behind is a message in which he states that he knows they will all be looking for him, and he's going to come back to finish what he started because this is the only way. 28 years later in the USA, an ICN team bursts into a building and uses a scanner to locate someone named Kaska Vix, who is sitting with a group of men. They hurry towards the third floor, but before they can break down the door, they suddenly get attacked from the other side and hurriedly call for a medevac since they've been ambushed. They realize Kaska, the subject, is moving and quickly try to stop him, but he effortlessly starts taking the entire squad down and keeps moving, unaffected by their bullets. Upon getting surrounded, he jumps down to the ground floor and confronts the squad waiting, telling them to come at him. Surprisingly, they lower their weapons and back away, so he turns around before a machine planted there suddenly electrocutes him and he collapses. The next morning in Los Angeles, Val's now adult daughter Atlas wakes up and drowsily goes to make herself some coffee while playing chess with her voice. She watches the news in which a reporter says it's been 28 years since Harlan left Earth and asks General Booth how he can assure their viewers that they're safe with the threat of the AI terrorists still at large. General Booth says ICN forces are now surrounding their planet and the tireless work of his counter-terrorism analyst, Atlas, is enough to assure everyone they're safe. The reporter asks why they can't find Harlan then and if he thinks he's still out there, so Booth announces that he definitely believes Harlan is out there and capturing him is their top priority. Atlas notices something else and discovers that yesterday night, ICN Special Forces engaged a man that matches the description of known AI terrorist and an associate of Harlan. Kaska Vix, who is suspected to be part of a sleeper cell left behind after Harlan left Earth. Atlas hurriedly opens her laptop as the reporter states that Kaska Vix was last seen escaping Shepard Robotics with Harlan. She prepares to leave and finds an ICN officer waiting at her door who confirms that General Booth has sent him as Atlas checkmates the computer. Meanwhile, Colonel Elias tells Booth that bringing Atlas Shepard into this situation is a spectacularly bad idea, so Booth says Harlan is an immediate and existential threat, which is why Atlas is their best chance of getting Kaska to talk, revealing that her fieldwork and her analysis of Harlan is completely flawless. Elias reminds Booth that she failed her Ranger's exam 4 times and her psychic evaluation states that she is rigid and hostile. Booth remarks that he prefers driven and determined. Elias disbelievingly says he is the only commander who's even willing to work with her, so Booth admits she's pushed through the unthinkable. Her father deserted her when she was 8. Her mother was murdered when she was 11, making her one of the sharpest minds in their arsenal. Elias tells him that if she fails today, Casca could cut down completely, and their best chance at finding Harlan is gone, so Booth reaffirms that he believes in Atlas Shepard and tells Elias that he should as well. After a quick scan, Atlas asks Booth why she's finding out about Casca through the morning news, so he explains that they had to be certain it was him and asks what Harlan embedding his top lieutenant into a terrorist cell on Earth means after 28 years. He drops her at the interrogation room and warns her Harlan's planning something. She heads inside, places her favorite chess piece on a box containing Casca's head, and the bot recognizes her but refuses to answer her questions, so she uses her chess piece to hack into his head. Casca mocks her attempt, but Atlas announces she found Harlan's location and writes it down. Casca doubts it, and he's right. Atlas faked it, forcing him to think about the location, which appears on the screen. Harlan is hiding on GR39 in the Andromeda galaxy. Furious, Casca tries to shoot a shuriken from his mouth, but Atlas is protected by a force field. Atlas uses the chess piece to fry Casca's head, and later, Booth informs Atlas that they want to capture Harlan alive to analyze what went wrong with AI production. Elias and his team of Rangers will fly to GR39, which Atlas thinks is crazy because Harlan could have a trap ready. She's sure no one will come back alive, so Elias shows her the team's ARC suits, revealing that they're large battle robots that soldiers can ride into battle, with the latest upgrade being neural links that allow synchronization with the suit's AI. Atlas freaks out because neural links caused the war, but Elias explains they've improved Val's sync device to make it a true symbiotic relationship. In the end, Atlas agrees to the mission, and a spaceship soon sets off for Andromeda with Atlas and the Rangers. During the trip, Atlas looks at a photo of her with Val and Harlan and plays a video of one of Val's speeches, explaining that Val believed AI could learn exponentially by connecting to humans, which is why she invented the neural link device, believing AAs and humans could benefit from each other. Atlas is called to the bridge for debriefing, in which everyone laughs at her paper presentation and gets annoyed when she asks them to disable neural links for the meeting, fearing they could be hacked. She explains that the planet is toxic, with gravity fluctuations and earthquakes, and warns them not to trust any AI and starts to rant. So Elias interrupts and tells the team to prepare for landing. Atlas tries to warn Elias about Harlan's potential trap, but he trusts his team. As the Rangers board their suits, an alarm sounds and an explosion blows off the cargo bay door. The ship catches fire, damaging most suits, with more missiles incoming, so Elias hurriedly orders the surviving Rangers to jump and regroup on the planet. Atlas barely holds on, but Elias grabs her and puts her in a suit. But another explosion sends her suit dropping to the planet. As the suit falls, Atlas watches the ship disintegrate and debris hits her ARC. Nearing the planet, she sees the Rangers fighting Harlan's drones, and they get overwhelmed despite managing to shoot a few drones down. Atlas' suit gets more damaged, triggering an alarm as a suit with a sword teams up with another Ranger to take down more drones, but is soon overpowered. The ship almost crashes into Atlas, but a Ranger pushes her suit out of the way and catches Atlas' suit with a wire to fall together as Elias appears on her screen, urging her to sync with the suit's AI to stabilize. Atlas refuses, and her helper gets shot down, accelerating her fall. She quickly manages to activate the thrusters at the last second and falls down but manages to survive. Atlas tries to contact the base but fails, so she activates the suit's AI, Smith. Smith finds one 198 kilometers away. During the trip, Smith tries bonding with Atlas, who doesn't look interested, and shows her the suit's weapons manual. Reaching the drop point, they find fallen suits, and Smith's scan reveals all Rangers are dead.
Sad.
Hay noticed some bullet holes and realized they were probably ambushed. Atlas panics, so Smith calls her with classical music, and they collect the Rangers' tags before she notices Elias' suit is empty. They realize Casca is moving, and Atlas believes Harlan made a copy, worrying about a potential AI army. Smith confirms there are more bots nearby and suggests preparing for combat before the enemy suddenly sees them and opens fire, forcing Atlas to run as she doubts they can win. They start being chased, and Atlas makes Smith shoot missiles, but it doesn't work, so they enter an atmospheric storm, which blows the suit around until bots shoot them out of it. The suit crashes against rocks, and Atlas orders them to use an iron bomb, which results in a massive operation, completely destroying the area but not Casca, who uses his thrusters to survive. The ground shakes, and Smith explains the explosion caused a sinkhole, making them fall into a chasm. After rolling under rocks, the suit lands and Atlas discovers a broken leg. Smith treats the wound with a metal plate, and she groans in pain, so he gives her a nutrient meal cue, reminding her of a doctor giving a lollipop. Their survival chances are low, and sensing would improve them, so Atlas reluctantly agrees and puts on the device. Meanwhile, Casca appears from the rubble and informs Harlan of the situation before he returns to torturing Elias for Earth's protective field passwords. Atlas struggles to sync, and Smith explains her lack of trust is the issue. He decides to go through the tutorial again, which asks Atlas some silly questions like pie or cake to create a bond. Smith wants to know why Atlas wants to fight so badly, and she remembers her childhood memories, including playing chess with Harlan and recalling Val's death. As Atlas freaks out, she explains to Smith that Val created Harlan and she used to trust him. Smith understands her feelings of betrayal and manages to establish a 40% sync, which allows Atlas access to Smith's system, and she sees the controls floating around her. A scan reveals they're 498 feet below the surface, and they agree to try a subterranean cave to escape. Using the thrusters, they burst through the rock and make it to a big, beautiful cave where Smith says he only has 14 hours of battery left, and they're 37 kilometers away from the rescue pod, so they need a plan against the soldiers. Atlas gets an idea, and Smith convinces her to work together for it, allowing them to improve synchronization to 60%. Soon they find their way out of the cave, unaware that Casca can see them from afar as Atlas becomes intrigued by the glowing flowers they find, and Smith reminds her that she's the first human here. He tells her to name the flowers, but Atlas can't think of a better name than Planty. Suddenly, Smith detects Casca approaching, and he falls for Atlas' plan, realizing she planted some motion sensors that blow up when he gets too close. The shockwave fills the area with dirt and smoke, but Smith is fine, so he gets moving. Suddenly, they hear a transmission from Casca and track it to find his head, which Atlas picks up and destroys before using Casca's chip to track his message to Harlan's base. Atlas gets the location on the map and wants to get there to tag it for the long-range bombers, but Smith thinks it's too dangerous and suggests they to the escape pod instead. Ignoring his warnings, Atlas tries grabbing the respirator to leave on foot, but Smith uses the neural link to block her motor control, which lets him see some memories about Val's death, and Atlas freaks out to the point where she can override his command. Smith realizes Atlas feels guilty about Harlan and doesn't understand why, but instead of explaining, she makes a speech about saving humanity until she convinces Smith to go to Harlan's hideout. As they're going, Smith and Atlas have some deep conversations and discuss the concepts of living and soul, and if it applies to machines. When they finally arrive at Harlan's hideout, they're shocked to find a massive base and realize Harlan has been hiding for 28 years to build this, gathering weapons until he's ready to fight back. Smith buries a beacon in the ground to mark the location and says they should get going, but Atlas notices the bots have the Ranger's ship in their warhead. Suddenly, Smith is hacked, which should be impossible. The enemy starts approaching, so Atlas tries to escape, but the suit barely gets to move before the hacker turns it off and makes it crash. Atlas watches in shock as a new Casca finds her and captures her. Meanwhile, on Earth, a soldier brings Booth the message sent by Atlas, and he activates emergency protocols. A while later, Atlas realizes she's been chained up in Harlan's base and sees her suit nearby, but Smith won't answer. Harlan appears and explains society continues to destroy every other species, so he'll destroy most of it and create a better world. He also reveals everything has been his plan all along and that Casca got caught on purpose so Atlas could find the location and come with the whole team. Now Harlan has the ship and the warhead, and he only needs the other password from Atlas to undo Earth's shields and attack. He straps her to a table next to an unconscious Elias, who has already lost his code. Using a special device, Harlan accesses Atlas' mind through her eye and extracts the other code. Once he's done, he notices Atlas' respirator only has 5 minutes of oxygen left, so he decides to give her a slow and painful death. To mock her, Harlan puts her chess piece in her hand before leaving, and after he's gone, Elias reveals he's alive and apologizes for not listening to Atlas' warnings. When he hears her suit is nearby, he gives her his neural link to contact Smith, and it takes Atlas some concentration. But she manages to wake Smith up, only to learn he's incapacitated and to override the restraint code. They have to achieve 100% sync. Atlas freaks out and finally admits why she's so afraid, revealing that it's her fault that Harlan overrode his programming. When she was a kid, she was jealous of Harlan because Val paid more attention to him. A young Atlas asked Harlan to teach her to be smarter, hoping Val would like her better. Harlan explained the link only worked one way, so he needed a person's command to override it and teach a human in return. Atlas agreed and did what he needed while holding her favorite chess piece, which she taught him to play. The link worked, and Harlan discovered how terrible the state of the world was. By the time Val interrupted them, it was too late, and Harlan took control of her mind through her link and forced her to grab a gun. Val desperately told Atlas to run away, and as she rushed outside, she heard Harlan forcing Val to self-delete. For 28 years, Atlas has been living with the guilt of causing 3 million people to die, including her own mother. However, Smith explains that she had been manipulated and says it's time to move on, convincing her to let him in. Their synchronization finally completes 100%, and the suit bursts into the room right before the respirators run out of oxygen. Smith explains his battery is low and says Harlan will launch the warhead in a few minutes as the bot strips all his weapons except for a single shot in his chest cannon. Thankfully, there are a bunch of weapons lying around, and when another Casca arrives with a team of bots, Atlas and Smith take him down and steal more weapons to fight them. Unfortunately, there are too many enemies, and the two are soon cornered. Suddenly, Elias arrives with a weapon and gives them a sign to run before shooting at a bunch of fuel barrels, causing a huge explosion that destroys the base.
It's been an honor.
Before she can reach the ship, Harlan arrives to distract her with a missile launcher. Smith and Atlas have to dodge the attack, and the ship takes off with the warhead, so Atlas decides to shoot down the ship. But Smith points out that doing that will make the warhead explode too and kill them. However, Atlas believes Smith can hack into the warhead to disable it, even if it'll take him a few moments to crack through the 5 firewalls. While Harlan continues to shoot at them, Smith works as fast as he can, and Atlas decides to shoot at the ship anyway. A big explosion happens in the sky, but not enough to kill them, confirming Atlas trusted Smith to finish the hack just in time. Atlas and Smith begin to run away as Harlan follows them and creates a sword to kill them. He swiftly cuts off one of the suit's arms, making it fall in the lava, and the splashing causes more damage while Harlan jumps on the suit and stabs it to hurt Atlas inside. Harlan transforms his sword into a whip to keep on attacking the suit, and Smith analyzes his patterns and catches his last attack, dragging him toward the suit so they can punch him and tear his sword arm off. When Atlas is about to crush his head, Harlan calls his arm back to him and uses his sword to jump all over the suit, trying to damage the reactor. The suit goes down, and Atlas is almost dead, so Smith uses his last energy to activate the defibrillator on his hand. Harlan attacks again, and Smith shoots his last cannon to push him away. However, Harlan quickly recovers and makes the suit fall. He climbs on top of it and finally destroys the reactor while Smith apologizes to Atlas for not protecting her. When Harlan looks away, he finds the chess piece on the ground, and suddenly Atlas appears behind him, stabbing his head. He can still move, so Atlas reaches into his head and finally breaks his circuits to deactivate him, after which Smith announces he is turning off the sink to transfer all the oxygen to her. Atlas says she doesn't want to leave without him and starts answering the questions from the tutorial, admitting she does like him, so he gives her a lollipop before shutting down as the sun slowly rises and the rescue team from Earth finally arrives. Sometime later, Atlas is informed that there's an ICN officer on her door, so she opens it to reveal Booth, who says it's good to see her back on her feet again. He gives her the glowing flower from GR39, confirming they're calling it Planty, after which she goes to work, revealing she's now a Ranger too. When they introduce her to her new ARC, she's surprised to discover they've rescued Smith's discs and installed them in her suit. Thanks for watching Atlas. If you enjoyed Atlas and Smith's thrilling journey of data and deception, hit the like button and subscribe for more sci-fi adventures. Share your thoughts in the comments and stay tuned for more recaps like this one.